At the hospital, the billionaire heard a desperate cry. "Please save my brother." He turned and saw a poor girl of only 7 holding her sick little brother. What happened next shocked everyone. Before we dive into the story, leave a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. And if you believe in second chances, hit that like button to show your support. Enjoy the story. Ethan Carter had seen the inside of New York General Hospital more times than he cared to count. At 32, his demanding lifestyle as a tech billionaire meant regular checkups were non-negotiable. His assistant had scheduled this visit weeks ago, and despite the mountain of meetings waiting back at his downtown office, here he was, sitting in the sterile waiting room, scrolling through emails on his phone. That's when he heard it. "Please, please, someone help me, my brother. He needs a doctor." Ethan looked up. Standing in the middle of the emergency room lobby was a little girl. No more than 7, her clothes were worn and dirty, her dark hair tangled. But what made Ethan stop was what she carried in her thin arms. A small boy, maybe 3, pale as a ghost, his little body limp against her shoulder. "Please," the girl cried again, her voice breaking. "He's so sick. I don't have any money, but please don't let him die." The hospital staff rushed toward her, but Ethan was already on his feet, his phone forgotten. He watched as nurses gently took the little boy from her arms and rushed through double doors. The girl tried to follow, but a security guard stopped her. "No, Leo, I need to stay with Leo," she screamed, tears streaming down her dirty cheeks. Ethan's chest tightened. Something about this scene pierced the armor he had built over years of ruthless business. He approached slowly. "Hey," he said softly, kneeling to her level. "What's your name?" The girl looked at him with wide, terrified eyes. "Emily," she whispered. "Emily Carter. That's my brother Leo. He's only 3. He's all I have left." "All you have left?" Ethan felt his throat tighten. Emily wiped her nose with the back of her hand. "Our parents, they died in a car accident 6 months ago. It's just me and Leo now. But he got sick and I don't know what to do. I tried to take care of him, but he keeps getting worse. And the lady at the shelter said he needs a hospital, but I don't have insurance or money or—" "Calm down," Ethan said gently. "You're living in a shelter?" Emily nodded miserably. "We don't have anywhere else to go." "But Mr. Carter," she read his name from the visitor's badge he wore. "I'll do anything. I'll work, I'll clean, I'll give you anything I have. Just please don't let my little brother die. He's all I have in this world." Ethan felt something crack inside his chest. This little girl, this tiny 7-year-old, was trying to negotiate like a desperate adult. How long had she been carrying this weight alone? A doctor emerged from the double doors, his face grave. Ethan stood up instinctively, placing his hand on Emily's shoulder. "Are you family?" the doctor asked Emily. "I'm his sister," Emily said quickly. "I'm his only family." The doctor knelt. "Emily, your brother is very sick. He has acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It's a type of cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow. He needs immediate treatment." But he hesitated, looking at his clipboard. "Without insurance or payment arrangements, I'm afraid. I'll pay for it," Ethan heard himself say. The words came out before his brain could catch up. "Whatever he needs, consider it done." The doctor looked up, surprised. "Sir, do you understand what you're offering? The treatment for this condition can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next—" "I understand perfectly," Ethan interrupted, his voice firm. He pulled out his wallet and handed over his platinum credit card. "Run all the necessary tests. Hire the best oncologists. Start the treatment immediately. Money is no object." Emily looked up at him as if he had descended from heaven. You're serious?" Ethan looked down at her tear-stained face and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose beyond profit margins and stock prices. "I'm serious. Your brother is going to get the best care possible." As the doctor rushed off to make arrangements, Emily threw her arms around Ethan's waist, sobbing into his expensive suit. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Ethan awkwardly patted her back, his own eyes burning with unexpected tears. He hadn't thought about his little sister in years. He hadn't allowed himself to remember the night she died, because they couldn't afford the treatment she needed. He had been just 10 years old, helpless, watching her fade away. He swore then that he would never be powerless again. That's why he fought his way to the top, built his empire, became the Ethan Carter whose name appeared on the Forbes lists. And now here was another little girl, another sick child, another chance. A nurse approached with paperwork. "Mr. Carter, we're going to need some information. Are you the legal guardian of these children?" "I am." Ethan paused. He knew nothing about these children, other than what Emily had told him in the last 10 minutes. "I'm a family friend, helping out in a difficult situation." As the nurse walked away with his information, Ethan looked down at Emily, who was now sitting in a plastic chair, swinging her legs nervously, her eyes fixed on the doors where they had taken Leo. "Emily," he said gently, sitting next to her, "tell me about your parents. What happened?" Emily's lower lip trembled. "They were coming home from my dad's work. A truck ran a red light and hit them. They died instantly. That's what the police said. Dad worked as an engineer somewhere downtown. Mom stayed home with us." "I'm so sorry," Ethan said. And he really was. After they died, Child Services wanted to separate us, send Leo to one foster home, me to another. But I couldn't let them take him, so we ran away. We've been staying in different shelters, and I've been taking care of him." Her voice was proud despite everything. "I can take care of him. I always have. I just can't fix this." Ethan felt a sense of awe for this fierce little girl, but as he watched her sit there so small and alone, something nagged at the back of his mind. He pulled out his phone and quickly typed a message to his head of security. "Run a background check on David Carter, engineer, killed in an accident 6 months ago, New York City area. Need a full report ASAP." The reply came back in minutes. "Understood, boss. Initial search shows he worked for Carter Tech, your manufacturing division. We'll send full report within the hour." Ethan's blood ran cold. This girl's father worked for his company, the same company where Ethan was CEO. He looked at Emily with new eyes. "What were the odds?" His phone buzzed again. Another message from security. "Boss, you need to see this. The accident report has some irregularities. Police marked it as suspicious. Investigation was dropped for lack of evidence." This wasn't just an accident. Ethan's hands started to tremble. What had he stumbled into? Ethan sat in his corner office on the 47th floor of Carter Tower, staring at the file on his desk. The manila folder felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Inside were the details of David Carter's life and death. David Carter, 35, senior mechanical engineer at Carter Tech's manufacturing division, married to Marina Carter, 33, 2 children. Emily, 7, and Leo, 3, died on February 14th, Valentine's Day. In what police initially suspected was vehicular manslaughter, but the investigation stalled when the truck driver claimed brake failure. The truck belonged to a shell company that dissolved days after the accident. Ethan's jaw clenched. This wasn't random. Someone had targeted David Carter. But why? His phone rang. It was Dr. Patricia Miller, the pediatric oncologist he had personally selected for Leo's case. "Mr. Carter, I wanted to update you on Leo's condition," she said. "We've started chemotherapy, but I'll be honest. He's severely malnourished. His immune system is compromised. Emily did her best, but these children have been living on scraps. We're fighting the cancer and the effects of neglect simultaneously. Is he going to make it?" Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "With proper treatment and nutrition, I believe so, but Mr. Carter, there's something else." Emily refuses to leave his side. She sleeps in a chair next to his bed. She won't eat unless we bring food to the room. She's terrified we're going to take him away if she's not watching. Ethan closed his eyes. That little girl had been Leo's sole protector for 6 months. Of course she couldn't let go. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said, grabbing his jacket. When Ethan arrived at the hospital, he found Emily exactly where Dr. Miller described, curled up in a chair beside Leo's bed, her hand wrapped around her brother's tiny fingers. Leo was asleep, an IV in his arm, his breathing steady but shallow. Emily looked up as Ethan entered. Her eyes were red and swollen. "He's going to be okay," Ethan said gently, pulling up another chair. "The doctors are the best in the country. That's what they said about Mom and Dad at the accident," Emily whispered. "They said they'd be okay, but they died before I could say goodbye." Ethan felt his heart break a little more. "Emily, I need to ask you something. Did your dad ever talk about his work? About any problems at his job?" Emily's forehead creased. "He was stressed the last few weeks. He'd come home late, talking to Mom in whispers. One night I heard him say something about it being too dangerous, and they won't listen. Mom told him to quit, but Dad said he couldn't, not until he had proof. Proof of what? I don't know. But the night before the accident, Dad gave me something. He made me promise to hide it and never tell anyone unless something happened to him and Mom. Emily's voice dropped to a whisper. Something bad happened. Ethan leaned forward. What did he give you, Emily? A flash drive. He said it had important information on it. I hid it in my backpack. I've kept it safe this whole time, even at the shelter. No one knows I have it. Ethan's pulse quickened. Emily, that flash drive could be very important. It might help me understand what happened to your parents. Can I see it? Emily hesitated, studying his face. Then slowly, she reached under Leo's bed where her worn backpack was. She unzipped a hidden pocket inside the lining and pulled out a small black flash drive. Dad said to only give this to someone I trust, she said, placing it in Ethan's palm. I trust you, Mr. Carter. You saved Leo. You're a good person. Ethan closed his fingers around the flash drive, feeling its weight. Whatever was on this drive had likely gotten David Carter killed, and now Ethan was holding it. Thank you, Emily. I promise I'll keep you and Leo safe. If you're finding this story moving, share it with someone who also believes in making a difference in people's lives. As he was leaving the hospital, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him. He glanced around the parking lot, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Still, the hairs on the back of his neck prickled. He had no idea that 3 floors up, a man in a dark coat was taking photographs of him through the hospital window, speaking quietly into his phone. He has the drive. The Carter kid gave it to him. What do you want me to do? The voice on the other end was cold. Nothing yet. Let's see what Ethan Carter does with it. If he's smart, he'll walk away. If he's not, well, accidents happen. Ethan didn't go home that night. Instead, he went to his private office in Carter Tower, the one with no windows and a door that required 3 levels of security clearance. He inserted David Carter's flash drive into an air-gapped computer, one connected to no network. What he found made his blood run cold. David Carter had been working on Project Titan, a classified military contract Carter Tech had won 2 years ago. The project involved manufacturing specialized components for defense systems. But according to David's files, something was wrong, terribly wrong. The documents showed systematic quality control failures, substandard materials being used, falsified safety reports, components that would fail catastrophically in the field, potentially killing the soldiers who depended on them. But the most damning evidence was a series of emails. David had reported these issues to his supervisor, Frank Oliver. He was told to keep quiet, that the irregularities were temporary cost-saving measures approved from the top. When David threatened to go to the federal authorities, Oliver had replied with a chilling message. Some things are bigger than one man's conscience. Think of your family, David. Ethan leaned back, his mind racing. Frank Oliver was one of his vice presidents, a man Ethan had personally promoted 3 years ago, a man he had trusted to run the manufacturing division. Oliver had ordered David Carter's death. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stop digging. Walk away while you still can. The children are collateral damage you can't afford. Ethan's hands trembled, not from fear but from rage. Someone was threatening Emily and Leo, children who had already lost everything. He immediately called his head of security. Roberto, I need a full protection detail. 24/7 surveillance on the pediatric oncology wing of New York General Hospital. 2 children, Emily and Leo Carter. No one gets near them without my personal authorization. Sir, what's going on? Someone killed their father, and now they're threatening to finish the job. I want those children protected like they're my own family. Understood. I'll have a team on site within the hour. Ethan hung up and stared at the documents on the screen. If he exposed this, he would be exposing corruption within his own company. His reputation would take a massive hit. Investors would panic. The military contract would be cancelled. Carter Tech stocks would plummet, but if he didn't expose it, more soldiers could die. Emily and Leo could die. His phone rang again. This time it was Emily calling from the hospital. Mr. Carter, her voice was small and scared. There's a man outside Leo's room. He says he's from child services, but the nurse says no one called them. I'm scared. Ethan was already grabbing his keys. Lock the door, Emily. Don't open it for anyone except Dr. Miller or the security guards I'm sending. I'm on my way. He sprinted for the elevator, his heart pounding. As the doors closed, he caught a glimpse of Frank Oliver stepping out of his office down the hall, phone pressed to his ear, watching Ethan with cold, calculating eyes. The game had begun. Ethan arrived at the hospital to find 2 of his security guards posted outside Leo's room, and Emily safe inside with Dr. Miller. The child services worker had vanished the moment security arrived. More proof this was no bureaucratic error. "Emily," Ethan said gently, kneeling beside her chair, "I need you to be brave for me. Some bad people are looking for what your daddy gave you, but I'm going to keep you and Leo safe. I promise." Emily's lip trembled. "Are they going to hurt us like they hurt Mom and Dad?" "Not while I'm here. Look at me, sweetie." Ethan waited until her frightened eyes met his. "I lost my little sister when I was 10. She got sick just like Leo, and we couldn't afford to help her. I couldn't save her, but I can save Leo, and I can protect you both. I swear on my life." Something in his voice must have convinced her, because Emily threw her arms around his neck, sobbing. Ethan held this fierce little girl, who had been so strong for so long, and let her finally fall apart. Dr. Miller discreetly left them alone. Over the next few days, Ethan became a constant presence at the hospital. He brought Emily clean clothes, real food, books and toys. He sat with Leo during treatments, reading him stories even if the little boy slept through most of them. He learned that Leo loved dinosaurs, and Emily dreamed of being a teacher like her mom had been. "Mom used to read to us every night," Emily told him one evening as Leo slept. She would do all the funny voices. "Dad would tickle us and chase us around the house. We were happy, Mr. Carter. We were a real family." "You're still a family," Ethan said. "You and Leo, that bond doesn't break." "But I'm just a kid. How can I take care of him?" Ethan took her hand. "You don't have to do it alone anymore, Emily. Let me help. Let me be part of your team." Emily studied him for a long moment. "Why are you doing this?" "We're nobody. You're rich and important. You could be anywhere, doing anything." Ethan thought of his sister, of the guilt he had carried for 22 years, of the empire he had built on the ashes of his powerlessness. "Because when I look at you, I see myself at 10 years old, scared, angry, helpless. I see the person I was before I learned to fight back. And why? Because maybe I'm doing this for all the wrong reasons, Emily. Maybe I'm trying to save my sister by saving your brother. Maybe that's selfish." "It's not selfish," Emily said softly. "It's love. Love is never selfish." Out of the mouths of babes. That night, as Emily finally slept in the recliner Ethan had ordered for her, he stepped into the hallway to check his phone. 23 missed calls from Frank Oliver, 15 emails demanding a meeting, a text from his CFO saying Oliver was asking questions about the unauthorized expenses on the company credit card. They were circling, getting nervous. Good, let them be nervous. Ethan opened his secure email and typed a message to the FBI's New York field office. "I have evidence of defense contract fraud and possible murder. I need to speak with someone from the white-collar crime division immediately. This involves military equipment and the death of a whistleblower." He hit send before he could second-guess it. As he put his phone away, he noticed a figure at the end of the hall, a janitor slowly pushing a cart. But the man was watching Ethan, not his work. Their eyes met for a brief second before the man turned and disappeared around the corner. Ethan's instincts screamed danger. They were running out of time. The FBI agent who showed up at Ethan's office the next morning was not what he expected. Special Agent Carla Mendez, a petite 5'3", couldn't have been more than 35, and had the kind of sharp, intelligent eyes that missed nothing. "Mr. Carter, I read your email. These are serious allegations against your own company." Ethan slid a copy of David Carter's flash drive across his desk. "Everything you need is on there. Quality control fraud, falsified reports, evidence that David Carter was murdered for threatening to expose it." Agent Mendez inserted the drive into her laptop, her expression growing darker as she read. "You understand what you're handing me? If this goes public, your company's stock will tank. You'll lose billions in military contracts. Your board will call for your head." "I'm aware," Ethan said calmly, "but American soldiers are using equipment that could fail because someone in my company decided profit was more important than lives. That's unacceptable. Who else knows about this?" "David Carter's daughter gave me the flash drive. She's 7 years old. She's been protecting it for 6 months. Her little brother is currently in this hospital battling cancer. Someone tried to get to them yesterday. Agent Mendez's eyes widened. They threatened children. I have a security team protecting them now. But Agent Mendez, I need you to move fast. Whoever ordered David Carter's death knows I have this information. They're getting desperate. Give me 48 hours. I'll get warrants for Frank Oliver's communications and financial records. But Mr. Carter, you need to act normal. Go to work, attend meetings. If Oliver suspects we're investigating, he'll destroy evidence. Ethan nodded. I can do that. But acting normal proved to be harder than expected. At the afternoon executive meeting, Frank Oliver sat directly across from Ethan, his smile pleasant but his eyes cold. Ethan, I've been trying to reach you, Oliver said smoothly. There are some irregularities in the manufacturing division's budget I wanted to discuss. Irregularities? Ethan kept his voice neutral. Yes, it seems someone has been accessing archived employee files, David Carter's files specifically. A tragic case, his death. But I'm curious why anyone would be digging into a deceased employee's records 6 months after the fact. The room went silent. Everyone was watching Ethan. David Carter worked on Project Titan, Ethan said carefully. I like to personally review all personnel associated with major contracts, especially those who died unexpectedly. Oliver's smile never wavered. Of course, though I have to wonder why the sudden interest and why you're spending so much time at the General Hospital, visiting the pediatric ward. I hear it's very charitable of you. So Oliver knew. He knew Ethan had Emily and Leo. He knew about the hospital visits, which meant he was having Ethan followed. I can't see how my charitable activities are anyone's concern, Frank. Oh, they're not. I'm just concerned. You seem distracted lately. Emotional decisions can be dangerous in our line of work. Sometimes people get attached to lost causes and lose sight of the bigger picture. The threat was clear. Back off or Emily and Leo would become collateral damage. Ethan leaned forward, his voice dropping to just above a whisper. Frank, let me be crystal clear. Those children are under my protection. If anything, and I mean anything, happens to them, I will personally destroy you. I don't care about money, reputation, or business. I will burn this entire company to the ground if a hair on their heads is harmed. Do we understand each other? Oliver's mask slipped for just a second, revealing something ugly underneath. Perfectly. The meeting adjourned in uncomfortable silence. Ethan immediately called Agent Mendez. We need to move up the timeline. Oliver knows I'm protecting the children. He just threatened them in front of the entire executive board. I'll move as fast as I can, but Ethan, you need to get those children somewhere safe. If Oliver is as dangerous as you think, I'm working on it. Just get me those warrants. That afternoon, Ethan sat with Emily and Leo in the hospital room. Leo was awake for the first time in days, his color slightly better, actually smiling at the stuffed T-Rex Ethan had brought him. Mr. Carter, Emily said quietly, what's going to happen to us after Leo gets better? Are child services going to come for us again? Ethan had been thinking about this constantly. What if there was a way for you to stay together? What if someone wanted to take care of you both? Emily's eyes widened. You mean like a foster home? I mean like adoption, Emily. I know I'm just a stranger who walked into your lives a week ago. I know I can't replace your parents, but I have the resources, the protection, and I've grown to care about you both very much. If you'll let me, I'd like to become your guardian legally, permanently. Emily stared at him, tears streaming down her face. You want to adopt us? For real? For real. If you'll have me. She launched herself into his arms, sobbing. Yes, yes, please. I don't want to lose Leo. I don't want to be alone. Ethan held her tight, feeling something fundamental shift in his chest. He had built an empire, amassed billions, conquered the business world, but nothing had ever felt as important as this moment. You'll never be alone again, he whispered. I promise. Outside the hospital window, 3 floors down in a black sedan, a man lowered his camera and dialed Frank Oliver's number. Sir, you're not going to like this. Carter just told the kid he's going to adopt them. He's not backing down. Oliver's response was immediate and cold. Then we move to plan B tonight. Make it look like an accident. At 2:47 a.m., the fire alarm at New York General Hospital blared to life. Ethan woke with a start in the chair next to Leo's bed. Emily was already sitting up, terrified. What's happening? She yelled over the noise. Ethan's security training kicked in immediately. Stay with me, both of you. He scooped Leo into his arms. The little boy was too weak to walk. and grabbed Emily's hand, but when he tried the door, it wouldn't open. Someone had locked it from the outside. His blood turned to ice. This wasn't a drill, this was an attack. Smoke began to seep under the door. Real smoke, real fire. Ethan pulled out his phone and dialed 911, then his security team. Roberto, we're trapped in room 447. Doors locked from the outside. There's a fire. Get here now, he turned to Emily. The window. Help me. Together they pushed Leo's bed against the wall and Ethan climbed on it, forcing the window open. They were 4 stories up. No fire escape on this side, but there was a ledge barely 8 inches wide that ran along the exterior of the building. Emily, I need you to be braver than you've ever been, Ethan said, trying to keep his voice calm even as smoke filled the room. We're going to get on that ledge and move along the building to the next window. Can you do that? Emily looked at the narrow ledge and the 4-story drop, then at her unconscious brother, then back to Ethan. I can do anything for Leo. My God, this little girl was incredible. Ethan went first, carrying Leo against his chest with one arm while holding onto the building with the other. Emily followed, pressed against the wall, moving slowly. The cold New York wind whipped around them. One slip would be fatal. They reached the next window. Ethan kicked it in, just as they heard shouts from inside Emily's room. His security team had arrived, but they were too late. Roberto burst through the window from inside, his face pale. Boss, are you okay? Get us out of here now. They scrambled inside. Ethan laid Leo on the floor, checking his breathing. Still alive, thank God. Fire crews arrived minutes later, but the fire was contained. Only Emily's room, and suspiciously, the fire had started in the hallway right outside their door, blocking the only exit. The door's electronic lock had been manually overridden. This was attempted murder. Agent Mendez arrived within the hour, her face grim. I got the warrant. We raided Oliver's house 2 hours ago. Found evidence of wire transfers to the shell company that owned the truck that killed David Carter. Communications with a known hitman. Ethan, we got him. He's in custody. Ethan felt relief wash through him, but it was short-lived. But, Mendez continued, Oliver wasn't working alone. The fraud goes higher. 3 board members were involved, including your CFO. They've been embezzling millions from the military contracts for years. When David Carter found out, they panicked. They thought killing him would make it go away. But then you got involved. The fire tonight. Oliver made a call from jail. We traced it to a burner phone registered to Gustavo Teixeira. Ethan's heart stopped. Gustavo Teixeira was his personal lawyer, a man he had known for 15 years. Gustavo, Ethan whispered. Gustavo did this? He's being arrested as we speak. Ethan, you have to understand, this conspiracy involves dozens of people. They've been systematically defrauding the government and covering their tracks for years. David Carter's death was just the beginning. They would have killed you too if you had pushed much further. Ethan looked at Emily, who was curled up against him, exhausted and terrified, at Leo, still unconscious, still fighting for his life. They had almost died tonight because he tried to do the right thing. Agent Mendez, I need protection for these children. Real protection. I'm filing for emergency adoption papers tomorrow, but until then, we've already arranged for federal protective custody. They'll be moved to a safe house with 24-hour marshals. No, Emily said suddenly, her voice fierce despite her exhaustion. I'm not leaving Mr. Carter, he saved us. He's family now. Agent Mendez looked at Ethan, who nodded. Then you'll all go to the safe house together. Pack your bags, Ethan. You're not staying in New York until this is over. 2 hours later, Ethan sat in an FBI safe house in upstate New York, with Emily asleep on his lap, and Leo, transported by ambulance with a full medical team, resting in a hospital bed set up in the main room. His phone was buzzing with news alerts. Carter Tech stock was plummeting. The scandal was breaking. Arrests were being made. His company was imploding. But none of it mattered. He looked at Emily's peaceful face, at Leo's steady breathing, and realized something profound. For the first time in 22 years, since the night his sister died, Ethan Carter felt like he had a family again, and he would burn the whole world down before he let anyone take them away. 3 weeks in the upstate New York safe house changed everything. Emily learned to laugh again. She woke up every morning and ran to check on Leo, who was getting stronger with each passing day. The chemo was working, Dr. Miller reported, through secure video calls. His color was returning. He was eating. He even started to talk in his sweet 3-year-old voice. Ethan, Leo would say, unable to pronounce Raphael correctly, read dinosaur book, and Ethan would read it again and again, doing silly voices that made Emily giggle and Leo clap his little hands. But underneath the normalcy, Ethan was fighting the battle of his life. His legal team worked around the clock on the adoption papers, while simultaneously managing the fallout from the Carter Tech scandal. 17 people had been arrested, including 3 board members, his CFO and Frank Oliver. The military had suspended all contracts pending investigation. Carter Tech's stock had lost 60% of its value in 3 weeks. You could lose everything, his lawyer warned during a video conference. The shareholders are calling for your resignation. They're saying you knew about the fraud. Let them call, Ethan said quietly, watching Emily help Leo color a picture of a T-Rex. I'm not going anywhere. The adoption hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks, but there was a problem, a huge problem. Helen Alves, the director of New York's Child Protective Services, sat across from Ethan in the FBI conference room, her expression severe. Mr. Carter, while I appreciate your enthusiasm for helping these children, you must understand my concerns. You are a 32-year-old single man with no parenting experience. You met these children exactly 23 days ago. Your company is embroiled in a criminal scandal. You are currently under federal protection due to death threats. I'm also the only person who's kept them alive, Ethan said quietly. Emily and Leo have no other family, no grandparents, no aunts or uncles. Without me, they will be separated into different foster homes. That is standard procedure when we cannot place siblings together immediately. Over my dead body, Ethan's voice was calm. Mrs. Alves, I understand your concerns, but I have unlimited resources to provide for these children. I have a clean background check with no criminal record. I have references from business leaders, philanthropists and politicians. And most importantly, I have something these children desperately need. I genuinely love them. Helen studied him for a long moment. Why, Mr. Carter? What is really motivating this? Ethan took a deep breath and told her something he had never told anyone outside of his immediate family. When I was 10, my sister Anna was diagnosed with leukemia. My parents were working class. My dad was a mechanic. My mom a waitress. We had no insurance. We couldn't afford the treatment. I watched my 8-year-old sister die slowly over 6 months because we were poor. I held her hand when she took her last breath, and I promised myself I would never ever be powerless again. His voice cracked. I built Carter Tech from nothing. I became a billionaire at 28. I did everything I swore I would do, but it didn't bring Anna back. Nothing could. And then I met Leo, the same age Anna was, fighting the same disease. And Emily, just 2 years younger than I was when I lost my sister. They were me, Mrs. Alves, my past, right there in the hospital, giving me a chance to rewrite the ending. Please don't take them from me. They're my second chance. I can't save Anna, but I can save Leo, and I can make sure Emily never has to feel the powerlessness I felt. Helen was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. I will recommend approval to the judge. But Mr. Carter, if you ever, and I mean ever, put these children at risk, I will personally see to it that you never see them again. Do we understand each other? Perfectly. That night, Ethan told Emily the news. She burst into tears, happy tears this time, and hugged him so tight he could barely breathe. Does this mean you're going to be our real dad? She whispered. Ethan felt his own eyes well up. If you'll have me, I know I can't replace your dad. You're not replacing him, Emily said firmly. You're different. Dad will always be my dad. But you're the one who saved us, who fought for us, who chose us. That makes you family too. Family? Ethan repeated the word, feeling strange, but wonderful. Yes, that's exactly what we are. Leo toddled over, holding his dinosaur book. Ethan read. Ethan laughed through his tears, scooping the little boy into his lap. Always, buddy, always. But as he read, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. The FBI had arrested the conspirators, but Agent Mendez had mentioned something that bothered him. The fraud goes higher. They had gotten Oliver and the board members. But what if there was someone else? Someone they had missed? His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You think it's over? It's not over. You took something that doesn't belong to you. We want it back. Ethan's blood ran cold. They weren't talking about the flash drive. They were talking about Emily and Leo. Ethan hired additional security, former Navy SEALs who now did private protection. The safe house became a fortress, but he couldn't shake the paranoia. Every car that drove by seemed suspicious. Every stranger's glance felt like a threat. Emily noticed. "You're worried," she said one afternoon as Leo napped. Ethan tried to smile. "Just being careful. Is someone still trying to hurt us?" He couldn't lie to her. She had been through too much for lies. "I don't know, sweetie, but I'm not taking any chances." Emily was quiet for a moment. "Mr. Carter, I mean Ethan, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "You said you had a sister who died. What was she like?" Ethan felt his throat tighten. He rarely spoke about Anna. She was everything good in the world, kind, funny, brave. She loved butterflies. She used to catch them in our backyard and then let them go, saying they were too beautiful to keep. "Like Leo and dinosaurs," Emily said softly. "Yes, just like that." Ethan pulled out his wallet and extracted a worn photograph. A 10-year-old Ethan with his arm around an 8-year-old Anna, both of them smiling at the camera. This was taken 2 weeks before she got sick. Emily studied the photo. She looks happy. She was right to the end. Even when she was in pain, she would smile and tell me stories about the butterflies she saw when she closed her eyes. She said they were taking her somewhere beautiful. "Do you think she's watching over you now?" Ethan had never been religious, but something about Emily's question made him pause. Maybe that's why I was at the hospital that day. Maybe Anna sent me to find you." Emily took his hand. "Then I'm glad she did, because I think you needed us as much as we needed you." Out of the mouths of babes. Indeed, that night Agent Mendez called with news. "Ethan, we've been digging through the financials. The embezzlement is worse than we thought. Over $100 million siphoned over 5 years. But here's the thing. The money didn't go to Oliver or the board members. They took small kickbacks, but the bulk of it went to offshore accounts we can't trace." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying there's a bigger player we haven't identified. Someone who orchestrated this whole operation. Oliver was just a middle manager. The real mastermind is still out there." Ethan felt sick. "Do you have any leads?" "One. Oliver made a call from jail before we could stop him. We traced it to a number in the Cayman Islands. The account is registered to a corporation called Titan Holdings. Titan, like Project Titan. It was no coincidence. Agent Mendez, I need you to investigate the corporate structure of Titan Holdings. Find out who owns it. I'm already on it." "But Ethan, these kinds of shell corporations are designed to hide ownership. It could take weeks to unravel." "We may not have weeks." After he hung up, Ethan went to check on the children. Emily was reading to Leo, who was snuggled in bed with his dinosaur. "Once upon a time," Emily read in her best storyteller voice, "there was a brave little dinosaur who lost his family. He was scared and alone, but then he met a gentle giant who promised to protect him forever. And they became a family and lived happily ever after." Leo's eyes were already closing, a small smile on his face. Ethan's chest ached with emotion. These children had been through hell, but they still believed in happy endings. He was going to make sure they got one. Later that night, unable to sleep, Ethan sat in the kitchen going over David Carter's files for the 100th time. There had to be something he had missed, some clue as to who was really behind this. Then he saw it. A note in David's handwriting on one of the technical reports. "Check voltage specs against original military standards. RS approved substitution without proper testing." Ethan's hands started to tremble. No, it couldn't be. He pulled up the list of Carter Tech executives from 5 years ago. There, listed as Chief Operating Officer, was Robert Carter, his uncle, his father's brother, who had helped Ethan build Carter Tech from a startup into a multi-billion-dollar empire. The man who had been like a second father to him after his parents died in a house fire 8 years ago. The house fire that was ruled accidental, but had always felt suspicious. Ethan's mind reeled. His uncle Robert had retired 2 years ago, moved to the Canary Islands, said he wanted to enjoy his golden years. Ethan had even joked about visiting him. But what if Robert hadn't retired? What if he had been orchestrating everything from the shadows, the fraud, the cover-ups, the murder of David Carter, even the attempt on Ethan's life? What if his own uncle had killed his parents to take control of the company? His phone buzzed, another text from the unknown number. "Ask yourself, Ethan, how did that fire at your parents' house really start? How convenient that you inherited everything at 24. How convenient that your uncle was there to guide you. Ethan felt bile rise in his throat. His entire empire was built on the graves of his parents, and his uncle had orchestrated it all. At 3 a.m., Ethan got the call every parent dreads. "Mr. Carter, this is Dr. Miller. Leo's fever has spiked to 105. His immune system is crashing. We need to get him to a hospital immediately." Ethan was on his feet in seconds, waking Emily gently. "Sweetie, Leo needs to go to the hospital. Get dressed, quick." Emily's face went white. "Is he going to die?" "No," Ethan said firmly, though terror ripped through his gut. "He's not going to die. I won't let him." The ambulance arrived in minutes, arranged by the FBI, fully secure. Emily held Ethan's hand in the back as paramedics worked on Leo, who was unconscious and struggling to breathe. "His lungs are filling with fluid," a paramedic said. "Possible pneumonia. His immune system can't fight it." At the hospital, a different facility, one the FBI had pre-secured, Dr. Miller was waiting. "We need to intubate him, put him on a ventilator. His body can't handle the infection and the chemo." "Do whatever it takes," Ethan said. They rushed Leo to the ICU. Emily started to cry and Ethan held her close, his own tears falling freely. "I can't lose him," Emily sobbed. "I can't lose Leo too. He's all I have left of Mom and Dad." "You have me," Ethan whispered. "And Leo is a fighter just like his big sister." Hours passed. Emily fell asleep against Ethan's shoulder in the waiting room. Agent Mendez arrived with coffee and updates on the investigation, but Ethan barely heard her. All he could think about was that little boy fighting for his life down the hall, the same way Anna had fought, the same way she had lost. At dawn, Dr. Miller emerged, exhausted but smiling faintly. "He's stable. The antibiotics are working. He's breathing better. But Ethan, we need to stop the chemo temporarily. His body can't handle both battles at once. Will that let the cancer spread? It's a risk, but dying from infection is a certainty if we continue. We have no choice." Ethan felt numb. "Can I see him?" In the ICU, Leo looked so small in the hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere, but his color was better. His chest rose and fell steadily. Ethan took his little hand. "Hey, buddy, you gave us quite a scare, but you're going to be okay. You hear me? You're going to beat this because you're strong. You're a Carter and Carters don't quit. And you're a Silver now," Emily added, having woken up and joined them. "We protect family, right, Ethan?" "Right," Ethan said, his voice thick with emotion. "We protect family." That afternoon, as Emily slept in a chair beside Leo's bed, Ethan stepped into the hallway to take a call from his legal team. "Ethan, we have a problem with the adoption," his lawyer said. "Someone has filed an objection to the proceedings." "Who?" "Robert Carter, your uncle. He's claiming that as your only living relative, he should have custody of the children you're trying to adopt. He says you're not mentally stable to be a parent, given the current circumstances." Ethan felt rage flood through him. That son of a... He's hired Gloria Martin. She's the best family lawyer in the Northeast. They're arguing the children should be placed with Robert until the criminal investigation is complete and your mental state can be properly evaluated. He's the one behind the crimes. Ethan exploded. He's trying to get the children so he can... He stopped. So he could what? Kill them? Use them as leverage? No. Robert wanted something else, something Ethan had that threatened him, the flash drive, the evidence. Robert thought Ethan had given it to the children for safekeeping, or that they knew something that could expose him. "Schedule an emergency hearing," Ethan said coldly. "I'm going to bury him." But first he needed proof, solid, undeniable proof that his uncle was behind everything. And he knew exactly where to find it. Ethan made a decision that terrified him. He had to go back to New York, back to Carter Tower, back to his uncle's old office, which had been locked and preserved exactly as Robert left it when he retired. "This is insane," Agent Mendez said. "If your uncle is as dangerous as you think, that's why I need to do this." He kept records. Robert is meticulous. He would have documented everything, kept insurance files in case anyone tried to betray him. I know where he would hide them. Let my team do it. They won't know what to look for. I will. Against everyone's advice, Ethan flew back to New York with a full FBI escort. Emily and Leo remained in upstate New York under heavy guard. Emily hugged him fiercely before he left. "Be careful," she whispered. "We need you to come back. I will. I promise. Carter Tower felt haunted. Most of the staff had been laid off during the investigation. The building was nearly empty. Ethan's footsteps echoed through the marble lobby as he made his way to the executive floor. Robert's office was exactly as Ethan remembered, sleek, sophisticated, with antique furniture and expensive art. His uncle had always appreciated the finer things. Ethan went straight to the bookshelf, running his hands along the spines until he found it. The Art of War by Sun Tzu, Robert's favorite book. He used to quote it constantly when Ethan was younger, teaching him strategy, patience, manipulation. Ethan pulled the book from the shelf and heard a click. The bookshelf swung open, revealing a hidden safe. The combination was Anna's birthday. Ethan's hands trembled as he entered the numbers. Of course, Robert would use Anna's birthday. Twisted sentimentality. The safe opened. Inside were files, dozens of files. Offshore bank statements, communications with Frank Oliver, plans for the Project Titan fraud, payment records to the hitman who had killed David Carter, and something Ethan hadn't expected. A file labeled Carter Family Insurance. He opened it and his world exploded. Inside were photographs of his parents' house the night of the fire. But these weren't official fire department photos. These were taken before the fire started, showing a timing device attached to the gas line. There was a handwritten note in Robert's script. Some sacrifices necessary for the greater good. Brother Too Soft would never approve expansion plans. Ethan, more malleable, can be molded into a suitable successor. Ethan's vision blurred with tears and rage. His uncle had murdered his parents deliberately, calculatedly, to steal the company and mold Ethan into his puppet. But there was more. A medical file for Anna, showing her leukemia treatment had been pre-approved by their insurance company. They could have paid. The treatment was covered, but Robert had intercepted the approval letter, hidden it, let Anna die to teach Ethan a lesson about powerlessness, to create the trauma that would drive him to build an empire. Ethan's hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the papers, everything. His entire life, his sister's death, his parents' murder, the empire he built, it was all orchestrated by his uncle. He had been a puppet his entire life. "Hello, Ethan." Ethan spun around. Robert Carter stood in the doorway, looking exactly as Ethan remembered, distinguished, silver-haired, wearing an expensive suit. He smiled warmly, as if they were meeting for lunch. "The truth is about to come out. If you're holding your breath, share this video with someone now." "I wondered when you'd figure it out," Robert said calmly. "Took you longer than I expected, honestly. You were always brilliant with business, but slow on personal matters." "You killed them," Ethan whispered. "You killed Mom and Dad. You let Anna die. Why?" "Because they were weak. Your father wanted to keep Carter Tech small, manageable, ethical. He didn't understand that to truly succeed, you must be willing to sacrifice anything, everything." Robert stepped into the office. "I taught you that lesson, Ethan, and look what you became. The youngest self-made billionaire in America. I made you. You destroyed me. I forged you like steel in a fire. Every trauma, every loss shaped you into someone capable of greatness." Ethan felt sick. "The children, David Carter's children, you tried to kill them. Collateral damage. When Carter discovered the fraud, he became a problem. His death was necessary. The children were simply loose ends." Robert's expression hardened. "But then you got involved, you got attached. You went soft, just like your father. So I tried to remove them from the equation. They're making me human." "Exactly. That's the problem." Robert pulled a gun from his jacket. "I had hoped you would walk away. Let the children go to foster care. Let me handle the investigation quietly. But you forced my hand. Those files you're holding are the only evidence linking me to any crimes. Once they're destroyed and you're dead, I'll claim you were the mastermind all along. Grief and pressure drove you to suicide. So tragic. And I'll comfort those poor orphans, adopt them myself, and use their gratitude to rebuild the company's image." Ethan backed away slowly. "You're insane. I'm practical. I've worked too hard to let a moment of misplaced sentimentality destroy everything. Your problem, Ethan, has always been that you feel too much. Hannah's death should have taught you that emotions are weakness, but instead, you let 2 more children make you vulnerable." The office door burst open. FBI agents swarmed in, guns drawn. "Drop the weapon, Robert Carter, you're under arrest." Robert's expression barely changed. He looked at Ethan almost sadly. "You were supposed to be my legacy, my masterpiece. Instead, you're just another disappointment." He turned the gun on himself. "No." Ethan lunged forward, but Agent Mendez grabbed him. The shot echoed through the empty building. Robert Carter crumpled to the floor, dead before he hit it. Ethan sank to his knees, staring at his uncle's body, feeling nothing and everything at once. Relief, horror, grief, rage. Agent Mendez knelt beside him. "Ethan, we got everything." He confessed to it all. It was recorded. "You're safe now. The children are safe." But Ethan couldn't speak, couldn't move. 22 years of his life had been a lie. Every success, every achievement, built on the graves of his family. His phone rang. Emily's name flashed on the screen. With trembling hands, Ethan answered. "Ethan, are you okay? You sound funny." He closed his eyes and suddenly clarity hit him like a lightning bolt. Yes, his past was built on lies and manipulation. Yes, his uncle had twisted his trauma into motivation. But Emily and Leo, they were real. His love for them was real. This choice to protect them, to become their father, was the first truly free decision he had made in his entire adult life. "I'm okay, sweetie," he said, his voice steadying. "I'm coming home to you and Leo, to our family. Promise?" "I promise. And Emily, I need you to know something. You and Leo, you didn't just save Leo's life. You saved mine." 2 weeks later, Ethan stood in family court facing the judge who would decide Emily and Leo's future. The courtroom was packed with media, social workers, FBI agents, and Ethan's remaining executive team, the few who had been proven innocent of his uncle's schemes. Leo sat in a wheelchair in the front row, still weak but recovering. Emily held his hand, both children wearing new clothes Ethan had bought them. They looked terrified. Ethan caught Emily's eye and smiled. "It's going to be okay," he mouthed. The judge, a stern woman named Judge Margaret Torres, reviewed the files before her. "This is one of the most unusual adoption cases I have ever presided over, Mr. Carter. You have known these children for exactly 43 days. You are currently rebuilding a company embroiled in the largest defense fraud scandal in New York history. Your only living relative recently died by suicide after confessing to multiple murders. You are 32 years old with no parenting experience." Ethan's heart sank. She was going to say no. "However," Judge Torres continued, "I have also reviewed testimony from Dr. Patricia Miller, who states you have been intimately involved in Leo Carter's medical care, attending every appointment, making informed decisions, and showing remarkable dedication. I have read statements from Special Agent Carla Mendez of the FBI, who credits you with risking your life to protect these children and expose a criminal conspiracy. I have seen financial records showing you have spent over $2 million on Leo's medical treatment without hesitation." The judge looked at Emily and Leo. "Most importantly, I've spoken privately with Emily Carter. Emily, would you like to tell the court what you told me?" Emily stood up, her voice small but determined. "Your Honor, Ethan saved my brother's life. He saved my life too. He fought for us when no one else would. He promised we would never be separated, and he kept that promise. My mom and dad are gone, but Ethan makes me feel safe again. He makes me feel loved. And Leo calls him Daddy and asks him to read dinosaur books every night. We're already a family in our hearts. We just need the papers to say it too." Judge Torres's stern expression softened. "And Leo, how do you feel about Mr. Carter?" Leo, sitting in his wheelchair, looked at Ethan and grinned. "Ethan is my daddy now." The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Torres banged her gavel for silence. "Mr. Carter, adoption is a permanent, lifelong commitment. These children have experienced tremendous trauma. They will require therapy, patience, consistency, and unconditional love. Are you prepared to provide that?" "Your Honor," Ethan said, his voice clear and strong. "For the first 22 years of my life, I was driven by grief and anger over my sister's death. I built an empire trying to fill a hole that could never be filled. Then I met Emily and Leo, and for the first time since I lost Anna, I felt purpose beyond profit. I felt love beyond ambition. They gave me a reason to be a better man. I am not a perfect person. I'm learning as I go, but I love these children with everything I have, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure they are safe, happy, and loved. This is not just a commitment, Your Honor. It is a sacred promise." Judge Torres was quiet for a long moment, then she smiled, genuinely smiled. "Mr. Carter, it is clear to this court that despite the unusual circumstances, you have demonstrated a genuine commitment to the well-being of these children. Emily and Leo have expressed a clear and consistent desire to remain in your care. And frankly, given everything they have been through, they deserve stability and love." She raised her gavel. "Therefore, this court grants the petition for adoption. Ethan Carter, you are hereby recognized as the legal father and guardian of Emily Rose Carter and Leo David Carter. Congratulations, you are officially a father." The gavel came down. The courtroom erupted in applause. Emily screamed with joy and ran to Ethan, throwing herself into his arms. Leo wheeled himself over as fast as he could, and Ethan scooped him up with his free arm, holding both children as they all cried together. "We're a family," Emily sobbed into his shoulder. "A real family. We are a family," Ethan agreed, his voice breaking. "Forever." Dr. Miller approached, beaming. "Congratulations, Mr. Carter. Or should I say Dad?" "Ethan is fine," he said, laughing through his tears. "But Dad works too." Agent Mendez appeared next. "Ethan, we've finished processing all the evidence. Robert Carter's estate will be seized to compensate the government and victims of the fraud, but your personal assets are clean. You're free to rebuild Carter Tech." Ethan looked at the children in his arms, then back at Agent Mendez. "I'm making some changes. Carter Tech is restructuring completely. New leadership, new ethics oversight, and a new mission statement. To build technology that protects families, not profits that destroy them. And we're establishing the Anna Carter Foundation, funding cancer treatment for children whose families can't afford it. No child should ever die because of money ever again." Emily looked up at him, her eyes shining. "You're naming it after your sister?" "In honor of my two sisters," Ethan said, kissing her forehead. "Anna taught me about loss. You and Leo taught me about love. That's a legacy worth building." As they left the courthouse, reporters shouting questions, photographers snapping pictures, Ethan held his children close and realized something profound. He had spent 22 years trying to build an empire to fill the void his sister's death left, but he had been wrong. Empires couldn't fill voids. Money couldn't heal trauma. Success couldn't resurrect the dead. Only love could do that. Only family. Emily squeezed his hand. "Ethan, can we go home now?" Home? He had bought a house in the suburbs of New York, big enough for the kids to run around with a yard for Leo to play in when he got stronger. Her home, not just a sterile penthouse. "Yes, sweetie, let's go home." But as they walked to the car, Ethan noticed a figure across the street, partially hidden behind a pillar, a woman watching them intently. When Ethan's eyes met hers, she turned and disappeared into the crowd. Something about her felt familiar. But before Ethan could process it, Leo tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, you promised ice cream after court, Daddy." The word still felt strange and wonderful. "I did, didn't I?" Ethan laughed, shaking off his unease. "What flavor do you want, buddy?" "Dinosaur flavor?" "I don't think that's a real flavor." "It is if you have imagination," Emily laughed. "He means chocolate with gummy dinosaurs." If you're loving this story, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any heartwarming stories like this one. As they drove to the ice cream shop, Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror. That woman was following them in a black sedan. His security training kicked in immediately. He made a sudden turn, then another. The sedan followed. "Emily, I need you to do something for me," Ethan said calmly, not wanting to scare the children. "Buckle your seatbelt." "Well, Leo's too. We're going to play a game of fast driving." Emily, wise beyond her years, understood immediately. She secured the straps on Leo's car seat, without questioning why. Ethan called his security team. "I'm being followed." "Black sedan license plate," he rattled it off. "Meet me at the safe house." But before his team could respond, the black sedan sped up, pulling alongside Ethan's car. The passenger window rolled down, and Ethan saw the woman's face clearly for the first time. His heart stopped. It couldn't be. She was dead. She had been dead for 22 years. But there, staring at him from the passenger seat of the black sedan, was his sister, Anna. Ethan slammed on the brakes. The black sedan stopped beside him. His hands trembled on the steering wheel, because the woman getting out looked exactly like his sister, Anna, 22 years older, but unmistakably her. "Stay in the car," Ethan whispered to Emily, his voice shaking. "Lock the doors." He got out, his legs barely supporting him. The woman approached slowly, tears streaming down her face. "Ethan," she said, her voice just as he remembered. "I know this is impossible, but it's me. It's really me." "You died?" Ethan choked out. "I watched you die. I went to your funeral. You watched someone else die," Anna interrupted gently. Robert switched medical records. "He took me out of the hospital, told everyone I had died, and kept me alive in a private facility in Canada. I was 8 years old. He told me you and Mom and Dad abandoned me because you couldn't afford the treatment." Ethan felt the world tilt. This is insane. Why would he? I was his leverage, his insurance policy. He raised me in isolation, trained me to be his investigator. 6 months ago, he sent me to watch David Carter. When I saw Emily and Leo with their parents, something broke inside me. I remembered having that love, having you. As she wiped her tears, I started digging. I found evidence of everything. The murders, the fraud, that our parents never abandoned me. So I ran. I tried to warn David Carter, but I was too late. So I've been watching you and the children, protecting you from the shadows. Ethan closed the distance and pulled his sister into his arms. "My God, Anna, you're alive." "I'm alive," she sobbed against him. "I've missed you so much every single day." "I've missed you too. I built my entire life around the hole you left." Emily's voice interrupted them. "Ethan, is everything okay?" Ethan turned to see Emily standing beside the car, with Leo peeking out from behind her, clutching his dinosaur. Ethan knelt, taking Emily's hands. "Emily, this is my sister, Anna. I thought she died. She's been alive this whole time." Emily's eyes widened. "The butterfly sister, it's like a miracle." Anna knelt too, meeting Emily at eye level. "I am really alive, and Emily, I tried to warn your father, but I wasn't fast enough." "I'm so sorry." Emily stepped forward and hugged Anna. "It's okay. You tried, and you protected Ethan for us, and that makes you family." Leo toddled over. "Are you Ethan's sister like Emily is mine?" "Yes," Anna smiled through her tears. "Just like that. Then you're my aunt." "I've never had an aunt before." Ethan watched his sister meet his children and felt something fundamental shift. "Anna, I want you to come home." "Really? Home?" Emily grabbed Anna's hand. "Please say yes," Anna laughed. A sound Ethan hadn't heard since childhood. "Okay, yes, I'll come home." 3 months later, Ethan stood in his backyard watching Leo chase butterflies with Aunt Anna. His hair was growing back. Dr. Miller had declared him in full remission. Emily was setting up a lemonade stand for the Anna Carter Foundation. "Can you believe this is real?" Anna asked, coming up beside him with Leo on her shoulders. "Some days I'm convinced it's a dream," Ethan admitted, "but it's not. We're here, we're alive, we're together." That night, after Leo was tucked in and Emily was reading, Ethan sat with Anna on the porch watching fireflies. "Robert taught me a lesson," Ethan said, "not the one he intended. Success without love is worthless. Power without purpose is empty. Family built on choice and love, that's the only empire worth building." Emily appeared in the doorway. "I can't sleep. Can I talk?" Ethan opened his arms and she climbed onto his lap. "What's on your mind, sweetie? Do you think Mom and Dad would be okay with me calling you Dad?" Ethan felt his throat tighten. "Emily, love doesn't divide. It multiplies. Your parents will always be your parents, but I'm your dad too. It doesn't take anything away from them. 4 parents, a sister, aunt, and a brother," Emily counted. "That's a lot of family." "That's just the right amount," Anna said. Emily was quiet, then asked, "Dad, are you going to send me away when I turn 18? Emily Rose Carter. Ethan said firmly, "You are not a foster child. You are my daughter. This is your home forever. Understand?" "I understand. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetie, more than I thought possible." Later, Ethan looked at a picture from that afternoon, all 4 of them laughing together. A year ago, he had everything money could buy and nothing that mattered. Today, he had something no amount of money could buy. A family built on choice, sacrifice, and unconditional love. Robert had tried to teach him that love was weakness, but Robert was wrong. Love wasn't weakness, it was the greatest strength of all. Real success wasn't measured in dollars or power, but in the lives you touched and the hearts you healed. Ethan Carter had saved Emily and Leo's lives, but the truth was they had saved his first. And as he listened to his children breathing through the open windows, Ethan finally understood what it meant to be truly rich. Not in money, not in power, but in love. And that was worth more than all the empires in the world. If this story touched your heart, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Comment below what you liked most about this story. Until next time.